A very good evening to everyone present. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to our virtual seminar on translational medicine. Today, we have three eminent scientists among us who are going to walk us through translational medicine. Our first speaker is Dr. Shanti Kumar Nair, who is the Dean and Head of Research at Amrita Faridabad campus in the Delhi NCR area, and also in the Kochi Healthcare campus in Kerala. Dr. Shanti Kumar has a PhD in material science and has been working in the area of biomedical technologies for the last 15 years. He was a professor at the University of Massachusetts, USA for 20 years before coming to India to establish a program in medical diagnostics and therapeutics using advanced technologies. He is the fifth ranked material scientist in India and has a H index of 87. He's been conducting research and teaching students for the past 15 years in Amrita. Dr. Nair will take us through an overview of the field of translational medicine and the opportunities available in Amrita. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pooja. First of all, welcome to all of you who have shown up for this program. It's a pleasure indeed to be able to have a chance to tell us about this very new field of healthcare innovation that has emerged in India in a very big way. I'll start out by telling you that Amrita has a very unique academic program, several unique academic programs focused on healthcare innovation. And so today, I want to talk about healthcare innovation and what are the aspects of healthcare innovation that are very important, particularly for you students who are looking to have a career in medicine and healthcare. So the first thing that I want you to understand is that we are having a new ecosystem in India for medical and biotech innovation. It used to be in India that we were well known and famous and successful primarily for generics and biosimilar products, where we have dominated the entire world by providing these kind of products all over. But today, India is poised to be an innovator in medical medicine. So we are, when I say poised, I think we are well into the development of a lot of innovative products, and India has a lot of these very innovative products. So this is a time when a lot of students are asking, what is it that we need to be doing to prepare ourselves to get into this biotech and medical innovations in a very big way? What sort of courses should we take? What sort of trainings we should have? Just to give you an idea of the kind of innovative sector that we have in the next slide, I want to show you that in the biotech area, there are a huge number of new startups and industries that have exploded onto the scene. 5,000 to 10,000 startups, that's an absolutely amazing number of startups in the pharma and biotech sector. And all of these startups are not focusing on just developing generics. They are actually trying to develop new innovative products. And the job market in healthcare innovation has really exploded. If you look at some of the numbers that are reported, we are looking at 5,000 to 10,000 hires every single month in India. And, there are, India is providing 60% of the global vaccine production. During the pandemic, India was one of the major innovators in developing nano vaccines for COVID. And India was one of the major exporters of COVID vaccines throughout the world. So we have moved, therefore, from generics to new innovative products. So the question that I'm sure is in your mind is, how do I get into this field? How do I get properly trained? How do I take advantage of this rapidly growing field in terms of the job market and be competitive and prepared? Next slide. So there are a few things that students should really be focusing on when we are looking at how do we position ourselves for innovation. One is knowledge of molecular medicine. So Dr. Rajkumar will be talking about molecular medicine. So that's the core scientific basis for developing new innovations. What are the molecular targets of diseases? How do we target these with medicines in a creative way? And then once that we have looked at molecular targets, develop what we now call precision medicines. That is, medicines that precisely attack the disease cells or disease or tumor tissues, etc. Once we have that, how do we then translate these innovative medicines that are discovered in the lab into a successful product? That's called medical translation. So Dr. Linda and these distinguished scientists will be introduced by Pooja before they give their talk. We'll talk to you about the challenges that we face in medical translation. And a third part of it is, and today we cannot avoid it, there is no such thing as pure medicine. We need to have technology. We need to be able to have an interdisciplinary ecosystem in order to be able to succeed in innovation. So not only do we need advanced technologies for molecular testing, we need to have ways to innovatively deliver the drugs. And so the field is very interdisciplinary and very technology oriented. A fourth part of it is regulation. If we have to take an innovative product or an innovative medicine or innovative drug into the market, there are some very rigorous ways that one has to go through in a regulatory sense to ensure that the product is safe, efficacious, reliable, reproducible, and so on. So that's a very important part of developing new innovations in medicine. And finally, and probably one of the most important things is how do we take this final manufactured drug, and that includes manufacturing, into the hospital, into the clinic. There, one has to have clinical research. We have to design a clinical research trial. We have to conduct the clinical trial, and we have to establish that such a drug can have practical value in patients. So the technologies that I was talking about earlier, which is a very important part of translation and today's medicine, one example is targeted treatment. So if, let us say, there is a cancer that is growing somewhere in your body, some tissue, how do we give a treatment that specifically targets that cancer so that it can minimize side effects? One of the technologies that I'm very familiar with, and I've done a lot of work in innovating, is a drug that is delivered packaged into nanoparticles, or it could be targeted using antibodies that takes the drug specifically to the destination of the disease and increases the efficacy and minimizes off-target effects and therefore reduces the toxicity. Another part of the technology is to sustain the drug for a long period. If you take the drug, normally the drug is taken and it releases from the body and it may not last for a while. So you can get disease recurrence. So if we are able to sustain the drug for a longer period, then that will also help in preventing a recurrence of the disease. So technology is a buzzword that goes along with medicine and medical translation. So an interdisciplinary program like this is very important. So I will soon be coming to an end. I just want to point out what are the examples of career opportunities in translational medicine. There are a number of opportunities that students can look forward to. Industry sector, academic sector, international sector, and also entrepreneurial sector. So it's not just that, you finish and then you go get a job, or you do your PhD or go to the academics, but you have a wide range of opportunities. And in all of these areas, there are a lot of opportunities and positions that are available. Pharmaceutical companies, startup ecosystems, academic institutions, government institutions, hospitals and pharma companies, biotech companies. All of these give extraordinarily good opportunities today, and all of them are actually looking to have people who are trained in this interdisciplinary program with an interdisciplinary background. We'll just go to the next slide. So very briefly, our university has been around since 2003 as a UGC certified university, which is an A++ grade university. And the program in particular that I'm talking about, that we are starting this summer, is in the Faridabad campus. You can see on that second picture on the left, the middle one, the phenomenal, beautiful 2,600 bed hospital that is there, that has just started. And connected to this hospital is the research center. And so we have an ecosystem with this hospital, with patients and doctors who are research oriented, who will be working with scientists and researchers. And there'll be, in addition, programs in research and both master's level, undergraduate level, and PhD level. So it'll be a state-of-the-art program. In the next slide, I'm showing you a larger picture of the hospital. We go to the next slide. So here is actually the research block where the master's science in translational medicine is going to be started. This is the research building. It's a 2 lakh square feet research building connected by the skywalk to the hospital. You can see the hospital in the second picture. You can see the hospital on the right side, and you can see the research building on the left side. They're both connected organically together so that doctors and scientists can work together. So in the next slide, some of the products that we have already developed. So we are not coming into this as a fresher. For the last 15 years, we have been working in translational medicine previously. We have been working in translational medicine and developing innovative products which have really made a difference. Just as an example, I won't read out the whole thing. We've developed not only nanomedicine for cancer, which is targeted medicine. We have a brain wafer, which is a slow release system, which releases into the tumor in the brain after the tumor has been released, so that the tumor recurrence doesn't happen. And so on. We have several innovative products that are implant-based, diagnostic-based, wound healing, vascular grafts, bile extent, and so forth. And you can see just by reading it that it's a very interdisciplinary program where we need to have background in molecular medicine, translation, as well as technology. So with that, I would like to personally invite you to step into this career, find out more about the opportunities in it. It's one of the fastest emerging fields in medicine today. And the program that is going to start new this summer is MSc in Translational Medicine in Delhi. You may be familiar with the other three programs which are already in place, which is MSc or MTech in molecular medicine, MSc or MTech in nanobiotechnology, and BSc in molecular medicine. The last three are in Kochi, but the new program that is starting, which has the whole gamut of training from molecular medicine to translational medicine to technology to clinical research, is the MSc program in translational medicine in Delhi. So with that, I will end this. We'll have some discussion at the end so that we can see what doubts or queries that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nair, for your presentation. I now invite Dr. Amit Dinda, who is a research director at Amrita Research Center, Faridabad campus in the Delhi NCR area. He was a professor holding an MD PhD in pathology from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Dinda joined Amrita in February of this year, and prior to that, he was the director and CEO of the Center of Medical Innovations and Entrepreneurship at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, where he spent most of his career. Dr. Dinda has spent quite a few years in the Johns Hopkins University in USA and in NIH. He has tremendous experience in the development of translational medical products, including nanotechnology-based products. Sir will enlighten us in detail about translational medicine and the opportunities available in this field. Over to you, Dr. Dinda.
Yeah, I hope all of you can hear me. So I think I request you to project my slide. Yeah. Yes. So Professor Nair has already gave me a very good overall overview of the course about the translational medicine. What I'll do in this presentation, I think I will take a little bit of clarify what actually we mean by translation. And then obviously we will discuss forward. So the translational medicine, so the most important thing for us to really understand that what do we mean by translation. The points which I want to discuss. First, what is the concept of translation in healthcare? And then we will talk about how this translational science can be connected to medicine and which is related to your specific course that is in translational medicine. And then what is the aim of the postgraduate course in translational medicine? I mean, this course is actually getting started in the Amrita Vishwavidyapitham campus, Faridabad, and where Professor Nair has already explained that we have a huge translational research center connected to a 2,600 bedded multi-specialty hospital. And then if you join the course, what is the utility of this course and what will be the potential impact of this course in biotechnology-based healthcare industry? Next slide, please. So the translational in healthcare, if you look into what is it? Translation is the process of turning observations in the laboratory, in clinic, and in community into interventions that can improve the health of individuals, from diagnostics and therapeutics to medical procedures and as well as behavioral changes. So that means if you have got certain observation in anywhere in this whole area, so in fact, if you can find out that there's something better can be done with than the existing way we are solving the different problems of healthcare, then you can start thinking about how to solve this problem. So your keen observation and development of a specific observation is very important for translation. And then this observation is need to identify a specific problem which you want to solve for betterment or improvement of the healthcare. And these solutions, if you think of making a solution or providing a solution, it should be found out in a scientific pathway. So that means you have to understand how scientifically you can solve the problem. And then obviously, whatever you develop, either it's a product or a process, as it will be actually given to the patients or it will be actually provided for the healthcare, then it has to be safe. It has to have a very efficacious one. And as such, it has to have a regulatory clearance because obviously it will be in the human health interface. Next slide, please. Now, how the translational science can be applied to medicine, which we are specifically talking about translational medicine. Now, new solutions in healthcare for the healthcare in the form of products and process, as I told you, should be done through scientific pathway. So there one has to learn that what are the scientific pathways by which you can develop a product depending upon in what product you want to develop. And as it is to be applied in human being, obviously, as I have mentioned in the earlier slide, so you have to prove its safety and efficacy. Now, when we try to prove the safety and efficacy, so there are large number of methods by which you can do it. But then if we categorize them, some of these experiments you can do in vitro, say in cell lines, and then some you can do in a specialized model, like you can recreate a sphere or 3D cell culture model. You can even develop a artificial skin kind of model so they actually mimic the inside the body environment, which we call in vivo environment outside. So that's why these kind of models we called ex vivo models. So, and then after that, you take it further. So you have to do in animal model, which we call the preclinical study. And when you get good data out of all these models, then you have to apply to the regulatory authority for approval for doing a clinical trial. And in the clinical trial, which are also different phases, if it is proven that your product or solution is safe and efficacious, then only the specific product is developed. So, this is a whole process, which are the different components of the translational medicine. Next slide. Now, this cartoon actually tells us that if you have that's why what I explained to you, this is, I think, mentioned very nicely in this cartoon. So whatever your idea is that if you develop a concept, it has to be tested initially into the lab and then in vitro culture, in the animal model. And after that, after regulatory approval, you can do the clinical trial. And once the clinical trial is done, again, it goes for the upscaling, the GMP biomanufacturing, and then validation of this product in second cycle. So this whole process needs very good training and understanding of the whole pathway of translation. Next slide. To actually explain a little bit of the more complex way, I think it's a very busy slide, so you don't need to concentrate into the slide. Here, actually, what I try to mention, that these things which I told, each of that component needs much deeper look. So if wants to get accustomed to the different kind of experimental design, then he has to do a lot of these, not only the experiment in vitro, in vivo, and ex vivo kind of situation, but also there is a lot of bioinformatics issue which comes up. And in fact, the now computational biology and bioinformatics are becoming very strong, which is part of the translational pathway. So that means these different types of these pathways has to be integrated to learn about and to understand about what you can do through this translational medicine course, because you will be learning very integrated way, all these things, which is easy for you to help you to innovate and go at a solution for a particular problem, which may be very important for the healthcare industry. Next slide. I think what I talked about, so if you look into these steps, so if you know what are the different kind of factors or different kind of steps you need to pass before you put something or develop something which can be marketed as a product, and ultimately the community will be benefited. And so first is concept and discovery. And then obviously you have to do some basic research to understand whether your concept is correct or not. Then you have to go into the applied research. I mean, your concept, whether your outcome of that research, basic research, can be applicable. So that is the applied research. And after that, you have to design the proof of the concept. In the proof of the concept, as I mentioned, different kind of models you have to study, and then in vitro, and then you can take it to the preclinical study in the animal model, and then you can go for the clinical trial with the initial regulatory approval. And finally, you have to submit all the clinical trial data to the regulatory bodies for final approval for upscaling and commercialization. So this is the whole medical innovation pathway that is actually under this translational medical course program. So this is a very highly specialized program which the students need to go through to understand this pathway. And it's extremely important. Next slide. Why I'm saying that is extremely important. When we were still student about, say, 35, 40 years back, so obviously we used to have only the classical, medical products, that is pharmaceutical product. Still, this is the mainstay of the treatment. But if you see, there are a lot of biotechnology-based products are coming up, which includes even the microbial-based product. As you know that there are a lot of these, the gut microbiome enhancer, probiotic, and other microbial products are being used nowadays. Then there are a lot of recombinant proteins, the new generations of biologics or antibodies which are coming. Then comes the cell and gene therapy. Now, these are the all new areas, and I have given some of these examples which are there in the market. So to develop that, you need to have a very good idea about for each of these specialized area, which is upcoming very rapidly, and even say mRNA-based therapy. So these kind of newer therapies needs a lot of understanding of the requirement of very specific research. So that's why this needs the biotechnology-based wide spectrum of these products which are developing. And this leads to the diversification of the medical biotechnologies product, and newer industries are coming up. And obviously, to work in these industries and work with these startups, innovation system, one has to have requisite training. So that's why you need a very high level of the trained manpower to handle this whole area of translational medicine. Next slide. And that's why I think I conclude with this couple of slides. I think I made my points very clear to you. So industries associated with new generation of biotechnology-based healthcare product, say, for example, the cell therapy products, cell and gene therapy products. So they need the trained manpower with knowledge and understanding of the translational medicine pathways. So I have a feeling that these course, which Dr. Nair has mentioned and given you a quite outline of that course, is extremely important to enter into this future era of medicine, which is coming now, not very future. This is already we have entered into that field. So thank you. I think we will discuss at the end.
Thank you, Dr. Dinda, for your presentation. Now we have our third and last speaker of the session, Dr. Thangarajan Rajkumar, the former head of molecular oncology and oncology research at Adyar Cancer Institute, Chennai. He is a pioneer in biotherapeutics and cell therapy and has done considerable work in dendritic cell therapy for cancer treatments. He has now joined Amrita as a consultant, and his work focuses on how to take forward the innovative medical products to clinic to help patients. His experience is in interfacing clinical research with innovative research in biotechnology. He is a DM PhD with a vast experience in the clinical treatment of oncology patients and a direct experience in oncology research. I now invite Dr. Rajkumar to make the final presentation.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Getting started with my slides, I think the first thing which I wanted to stress on is that the title which I have given is Precision Medicine, Personalized Medicine, and Molecular Medicine. Now, as a matter of fact, all of these are interrelated, and sometimes the terminologies are used interchangeably. So you will find, as I progress, the kind of similarities which exist, and also what are the differences which are likely to come up. So when we talk about personalized medicine, it means that you develop a therapy specifically for one individual. So that's personalized medicine. Now, in precision medicine, that's a slightly different definition. Before we get on to precision, what is existent at this point of time, we can actually call it as imprecision medicine. I've taken this cartoon from Nature, a renowned journal, which shows that the conventional drugs which are used for a variety of conditions do not act equally well for everyone. As a matter of fact, you'll find the range is tremendous. There may be one person out of every 4 responding, or sometimes even 1 out of 24. Now, that's extraordinarily very difficult situation in the clinic, because you really don't know who's going to respond to the drugs which are being given. Deals with a little more complex area. Now here I have a group of patients, same diagnosis, same medicine is given, but you'll find that there are 4 different ways by which these patients can react. At the right lower end is the best kind of scenario. You could have the drug which is not toxic to the individuals who are taking it, and it is beneficial. At the other extreme, the green one, the opposite, diagonally opposite, the drug has side effects to them, but it is still beneficial. The worst is the group where the drug is toxic with a lot of side effects, and worse, it is not beneficial either. And finally, there are the duds, in the sense that the drug is not acting for any benefit and also doesn't cause any toxicity. It's more like a placebo in those individuals. So this is the kind of scenario which we come across on a regular basis as a clinician. Now, how do we sort this out? So when we talk about precision medicine, personalized medicine, and individualized medicine, the base for all of them is molecular medicine. Molecular medicine is nothing but application of molecular biology to medicine itself. And here, as I said, personalized medicine and precision medicine have been used interchangeably. And personalized medicine and individualized medicine is almost similar. But when I say personalized medicine, as I said earlier, it means that you're developing something exclusively for an individual patient. In general, we don't do that in the clinic, in general. However, of late, in the past few years, we have specific cell therapies. I think some of you all would have heard about CAR T cells, chimeric antigen receptor containing T cells, which are now being used to treat very aggressive blood cancers and lymphomas. So this is a highly specific one, only given for that particular individual. You cannot use it for any other individual. So that you can say is a personalized medicine. When we come to precision medicine, here, what we are trying to do is to choose the most appropriate therapy for a particular condition or a disease, and essentially make sure that they will have the best therapeutic and or preventative effect, because it need not necessarily be only therapy. You can also use some of these molecules for prevention of disease. And at the same time, using precision medicine tools, the results, you should be able to avoid using the same drug in individuals who are likely to develop toxicity. For this, you need to understand the genetic makeup of the individual. So this is where the genotype comes in. In addition, we also factor in the environment and lifestyle for each person as well. When I say environment and lifestyle, it includes smoking habits, the eating habits, etc. Because drugs need not act in isolation. We are talking about a whole individual. So the whole individual, whatever he or she takes, will have an effect on the drug which is being administered to them. And finally, as far as cancers go, you find that an additional complexity comes in. You need to evaluate thoroughly the tumor itself. And here you will have to look at all levels. So you will look at the DNA level, which is what we call as genomic. We look at it at the RNA level, which is the transcriptomic. We look at it at the protein level, which is the proteomic. And now we are also looking at the metabolites of the different products. And here we call it as metabolome or metabolomic studies. This helps us to choose the most effective drug with the least toxicity. Now, I'm giving you, in addition to therapy, also what happens as far as the diagnostic tests go. In the old way, and in fact, even now, you'll find that we use patients' biopsy samples, and the pathologist is very critical for this, where they will examine and then tell us the diagnosis. It can be cancer related, it can be any other condition, a kidney disease, a heart disease, liver disease, etc. Now, the newer way of approaching this is to move into the omics era. So here we would take the patient's tissue as well as the blood samples and process them in a similar manner. We will look at the genomics, the DNA, the RNA transcriptomics, the proteins, the proteomics. And for the genomics, now we have what is called as the next generation sequencing, which will allow one to do the entire genome makeup of a given individual. That's called as whole genome sequencing. That's very complex. We can break it down into much simpler ones called as whole exome sequencing, which only looks at the coding regions of the genes. So it's much more compact kind of data. And then we also have transcriptomics, which looks at the RNA level of expression. And this is a dynamic entity. So if you were to do it at two different points, you'll find that there are some variations which come in. And then we also have the proteomics. Bear in mind, we have around 18,000 genes approximately. Each of these genes will have 1 to 2 what we call as variants or isoforms. So in effect, we would have close to anything. Some of these variants can be even be up to 10. So we approximately, let's presume that we would have around 50 to 70 different transcripts. That is RNA transcripts. And then the proteins which are coming off these transcripts get modified. Their modifications can be phosphorylation, etc. And that itself gives you another log of kind of complexity. And that is something which can be evaluated by using high-end machines like mass spectrometry, etc. And using all this information, now we are in a much better position to clearly delineate the type. For example, if I take the brain tumors, now this is mandated by WHO, where they say that do these tests, molecular tests, to categorize these tumors in a much better manner so that you can choose the best treatment for that given individual. So the precision medicine goals, as I mentioned, is always to ensure that the best treatment is given where it is going to be effective. So I'm giving you an example here. Let's presume that this is lung cancer and it's advanced lung cancer spread out. And here, when we do all these genomics and transcriptomic studies, you can actually divide them into people with the tumors which have good signatures, who can undergo standard therapy, which is going to cost you less, which will have less toxicity as well. Some toxicity may be there, for example, with chemotherapy, but by and large, they are established forms of therapy. The other group has poor signature. They do not respond well to the standard of care. So here you need targeted therapies. For example, you may have EGFR mutation. So you can have a targeted therapy, which is called the tyrosine kinase inhibitors, etc. So that way you have options which are now available, which will make this precision medicine very effective. And that's the primary goal of trying to learn about all this. So this is the final penultimate slide. Again, comparing the traditional medicine with the precision medicine, you'll find that in the traditional way, we have one treatment fits all. This is what I used to do when I was a student in the medicine and oncology. Now, when we did this, we had some patients who showed very good response. Some had no change, some actually deteriorated. Now, with precision medicine, you will be able to subcategorize them better and choose the correct treatment which is likely to be effective for them. So that is the primary goal of this. That is the essential goal of precision medicine. And it is also something which we need to move forward. So in conclusion, why should you choose the Amrita's Vishwa Vidyapeetham courses in molecular medicine and translational medicine? First of all, these are future-proof courses. The upgradation of the course content happens regularly so that you will not be kind of lagging behind with regard to what is happening in the world. Second, you have fantastic teachers who are world renowned and nationally renowned experts in their areas of work. Third, as already pointed out by Professor Nair and Amit Dinda, this is going to be done in a facility which has the hospital and the research center. You need to have both components coming together. You will realize this when you are on your own, when you are in a research. If you move into research, for example, academic research, you cannot work in silos. You need to constantly interact with the clinicians. And I would say, as a clinician, if there is a problem, I go to the scientists and say that I have this problem, can you address it? And then we sit down, we work out, and you will then be involved in trying to develop newer approaches to overcome that problem. And that is why I changed bench to bed to bed to bench to bed problem solving and development of novel therapies. As already pointed out, diverse opportunities are available moving into academia, hospitals, or research industry, or regulatory agents. You have a variety of options which are available before you. So I'll stop here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Rajkumar, for your presentation. With that, we come to the end of our virtual seminar. I now request our students to ask any questions or doubts to our eminent guests here.
Okay, I'll start by responding to that. The question is, kindly explain the course details. And I'll say a few words about it, and then Dr. Dinda can also add into that. So basically, it's a course that looks at all aspects, starting, as I said, with the molecular medicine aspects and precision medicine aspects, which is all the lab-based research that are very critical for innovation. And then we will have regulatory research, which is all the aspects of regulation and translation. We will also focus on how do you have a good, solid understanding and background in manufacturing for product development. One example is GMP manufacturing, or good manufacturing practice, which is basically manufacturing in clean rooms. How do you design clinical trials to test your products, to validate your products? And so these are all the components that will be thoroughly covered in the course. There will be not only theory classes, but also laboratory classes where you learn all the techniques associated with not only the precision medicine and molecular medicine, but also the manufacturing and technology part. And so those are the various components that will be there. The third part of it that is very important is the research part. Every student will have to spend at the very minimum 1 year innovating their own, having an innovative idea, brainstorming that innovative idea, and trying to develop a program that can successfully result in an innovative product. You may not do that in the course of 1 or 2 years, but you will start by designing and conducting the lab-based research or you might take a product that is reasonably successful and established in animal studies, and you may try to take it forward in preclinical trials and so on. So that would be the nature of the program. Dr. Amit, Dinda, do you want to add to that?
I think you have explained. So the another one, I think area I want to add, that all these research data you will be generating, it has to be quality enabled system. So that's why in our translational the research center, we have the GLP certified, say, preclinical research, and we have got these GMP manufacturing facility. So these exposure will help you really very useful for the industries like the biotech industry and other biotechnology based healthcare industry, as well as the regulatory group, because the regulatory the consultancy is becoming very important. And for that, you have to have the understanding of the innovation pathway, because each of these novel product is the first time which is being developed. So to prove its safety and efficacy, you have to have a alternative test strategy. So those capability development is very important for our students, and the whole course is designed that way, stepwise, to make you capable to do those things. I think this is to summarize. Thank you.
Yeah, there are two more questions I see that's on the screen.
What are the eligibility criteria for teaching in these courses?
I suppose you mean for taking the course. Basically, the eligibility criteria is basically a life sciences degree. It could be a degree in biotechnology. It could be a degree such as a B Farm, any life sciences courses that you have taken would be appropriate because we walk you through the whole process of training in the molecular medicine as well as the translational medicine. The duration of the course is 2 years, and there will be, as I said, 1 full year of research and 1 year of courses that you'll be taking along with. Course includes both theory classes as well as laboratory courses and 1 year of research. So that will be the total of 2 years that is required. That's a UGC norm. So we cannot change that. So you'll have to have 2 years to get a master's degree in any PG program.
So there is another question. Can you define nanotechnology that is to be used in artificial intelligence technology?
Nanotechnology, that's an area that has kind of started in India maybe about 15, 18 years ago when nanotechnology took off in India. So nanotechnology is any kind of technology where the scale of the technology is in the nanometer regime. Typically, it is less than 100 nanometers in scale. When you use such a technology in medical applications, then sometimes it is called nanomedicine. That is medicine that is packaged in a nanoscale regime. And the reason that this is useful is because it increases the efficacy of the medicine. It sometimes decreases the toxicity. It provides longer release and on slower release. It can also be used to target specific cells in a very efficient way. And that is basically nanomedicine. Now, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, that's a broad term that is used to basically have computer-based intelligence or computer analysis to make decisions, take large data, and interpret and take decisions as to what needs to be done. Now, if you look, for example, at genomics, when you do a full genome sequencing, then one can bring in artificial intelligence to then take that sequence data, compare it with all the other results and variants that have been found in the literature, and try to rank order specific mutations or variants that are of importance. So pretty much now in any field, trying to have a rapid and quick analysis and decision-making process is a very important part of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can also be used to design drugs. And there is not a whole lot of work, as I understand it, where you're combining nanotechnology and artificial intelligence, but it's a very fast emerging field that is extremely valuable in healthcare. One of the most common areas in healthcare where AI is used is image analysis, because it allows you to very quickly be able to evaluate pathological signs, early pathological signs of disease through very accurate image analysis. And that's something that has already taken over in a big way. Dr. Dinda has also done a lot of work in nanotechnology. If he wants to comment on it, Dr. Dinda.
Yeah, so basically, I think if you see these both these nanotechnology and artificial intelligence are enabling technology. You can apply in many of these processes from diagnostic to therapeutics. So quickly to give you examples, so a lot of point of care devices are being made like lab on chip systems and all. So these are basically using this nanotechnology, nanosensor based technology. Similarly, AI is when you are integrating the different kind of data and finally trying to project something. It is better, it is beyond the capability of our brain. We take the help of artificial intelligence. So these are really enabling technology and really know how to apply them. And obviously they are having a large significance in the translational medicine. Thank you.
We have one more question. Is this course good for a candidate who has already done MD in internal medicine?
MD in internal medicine would, I think, make better sense if you did. I think probably Rajkumar will be the better person to comment on it. But since he has done MD and DM, but after MD, I would not imagine someone taking an MSc course. But I think an MD should probably should do a PhD where he combines the clinical strength with some basic research involving medical translation or product development. That's something that is done in the West successfully. Dr. Rajkumar?
Yeah, I think Nayab made the point. I do agree with him. Now, I did my medical oncology DM and then went on to do my PhD in Hammersmith. What you need to understand is that when you get into the lab from a clinician, being a clinician and to become a scientist, you need to start a lot of things from basics. I mean, to be honest, trying to hold the pipette the correct way, doing the pipetting the correct way. Those are simple things, but you need to learn that. And you should be willing to spend time to learn and assimilate. There are a lot of techniques which needs to be done. But once you are done with that, you have a lot of things which then open up. And I would definitely say that rather than go for an MSc program, go for the PhD, because that would give you around 4 years time, which means the first year you would have the basics to learn, and then you can focus on specifics or whichever project you would like to do. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any further questions? Did you have some that you want? I think.
Sir, there was one question addressed to Dr. Rajkumar regarding the difference between translational medicine and molecular medicine. So would you take that question up?
Okay, I think the difference is, I'd say, a little subtle. It's not very stark. Both are interrelated. Molecular medicine, essentially, as I already explained to you, is using molecular biology and then bringing it into precision medicine, etc. translation medicine differs slightly in that it need not necessarily be molecular based. You can have a variety of other fields where you can have things translated to apply for developing something new. These can be equipments, these can be diagnostics, etc. So the translational medicine, the bottom line is always, how do I move something from a thought process, bring it to the lab, bring it to the next level to say that this works, and therefore I can then move it to the clinical level. So that is translational medicine, and this was clearly shown by Professor Dinda. And the molecular medicine offtakes a lot of this translational. It is part of the translational medicine anyway. So again, you start afresh and then you move on that directory. You cannot bring up something out of the blue. So it has to go through the similar process of translating something which is in embryo to bring it up into a full-grown child. So that's the way it has to work. Thank you.
We have another question addressing to Dr. Dinda, sir. There was one question saying, what kind of training will I get in this field of translational medicine that will help my career?
Yeah, exactly. So what I tried to explain to you, that the research is being done in a lot of laboratory and which we usually publish. But then the utilization of that research outcome to make a product, and which should be quality enabled and regulatory system approved. So for that, if you are trained, then there are a lot of these new generation of healthcare product which is being developed, including the precision medicine, and where the lot of molecular knowledge, which is also diagnostic, sequence-based diagnostics. So all these, either the advanced diagnostic laboratories, the new generation of diagnostics development, the industries, and then all these, the biologic and cell and gene therapy development industry. So they need the very specialized kind of trained manpower, and including, I think if you attend this translational medicine course, as we are training you how to do the quality enabled preclinical research, the clinical research, and then also the regulatory and data generation for regulatory approval. So you can be a very good consultant to the regulatory need of many of these products being developed across the board. That includes even the new molecule in pharmacology, the investigative new devices. You have made a device, say, for example, from my breath, you can detect some of the molecule which can diagnose the disease. Now, these kind of logistics, which are not run-of-the-mill, the device, so needs a different kind of validation designing. So these capabilities will be, I think, we believe, the way we have structured the course, so you'll be empowered to do these kind of help to the industry. So industry, startup ecosystems, and all these innovation and entrepreneurship, actually the line or lineage will be really, you can do a very good job for them. I mean, so that we believe that it will be very helpful and diverse the need you can solve. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one last question addressing to Dr. Nair. What are the other courses that are similar to translational medicine available in our country and in abroad?
So we have, as you know, we for the last many years we've had a course in molecular medicine. We had a core. We have a not had. We have a course in molecular medicine. We also have a course in nanobiotechnology. Uh, Nanobiotechnology is much more technology integrated interdisciplinary program, and molecular medicine, as Dr. Rajkumar explained, focuses a lot on the molecular aspects of the disease, precision medicine, personalized medicine, and so on. But there is no course today in India that is looking at the whole translational, the innovation and translation aspect as a training. It's not that this is not being considered. As I said, there are so many startups and so many industries that are now getting into the innovation game. But we are the first ones in India to be proposing and are capable of offering such a course where we can teach you both the manufacturing, the regulatory aspects, and translational aspects, because it is an ecosystem that we have in the Delhi NCR region of advanced hospital, as well as a very advanced research center that are coupled together, where doctors and scientists are working together. So such an environment, this is really the first time that such an environment is being proposed in the academic sector. In other countries in the world, we've had this kind of an ecosystem for some time now. US has it. They have a very strong MD, PhD program where they look at all of these aspects in a very comprehensive way. And it is our effort to try and um, bring in some innovation rather than just simply look at biosimilars or generics, but bring in some innovation, because we have the talent, we have the capacity. And so this is really what we feel is a unique next step for us here in India. Thank you.
We have one more question, sir. How useful is this course for B Farm students?
Okay, B Farm students have taken our previous medical related courses in molecular medicine and nanobiotechnology. They are, I think, very suitably oriented in their B Farm program, since they have an exposure, understanding of pharmacology, and I think they will be very well suited for the program. This course will take it forward to the next level of translation, give a lot more in-depth exposure to molecular medicine aspects. And so I think it will be a very useful course for those with a B Farm degree. Dr. Dinda or Dr. Rajkumar, any comments? Dr. Dinda?
Yeah, I think it will be very helpful. So I'll just give you example. See, repurposing of the drug and versus the IND, that is investigational new drug. Now, repurposing of the drug, I think it's a very hot area. And I think with a BPharm degree, you can enter into that area where the translational scope is also pretty high. But you have to understand the pathway through which you can design the pathway which through you can go. So your exposure to all the regulatory need and need for standard in research and innovation for your quality enabled reproducible result will enable the BPharm student, I feel, in a big way. So it will be very suitable.
With that, we have finished our question answer session as well. I sincerely thank all the participants for taking time and attending our virtual seminar.